Welcome to the Healing Corner podcast, where we're having honest conversations in a safe place since 2022.
I'm excited. I'm excited because there's so much coming in that needs to happen, and it's like, when is a better time than now?
Right
Let's
now.
happen. Let's do this thing,
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome. I hope that you guys are doing well out there. Welcome to the Healing Corner podcast, where we're having healing conversations, y'all. In today's topic, we're going to be talking about living unapologetic, living on our own terms. Okay. I don't know if you guys checked out the first one that we did 2 weeks ago, but we talked about the sorry thing, always saying sorry for everything, right? But what we're going to talk about now is actually putting that into action, what it looks like living, what it looks like doing your everyday life. All right. So I'm excited to have our special guest here with us, Lindsay. And then I also have Coach Yams, y'all. So I'm excited to go ahead and introduce these two ladies. We're going to have Coach Yams go ahead and explain what she does. And then Lindsay, we want you to definitely explain, and then I'll come back with you guys.
Yep. Okay. So hello, everyone. My name is Yamana Mitchell. I am the owner of Healing is Work Coaching, because healing is work. And I am out here helping women to step into that big, bold dream that they believe is theirs, but don't feel like maybe it's their dream. Living unapologetically, obviously, not doing shit out of obligation, and making the money that you deserve, because there's plenty of money to be made out here. Go ahead, Lindsay.
Hey, everybody. So I'm Lindsay Collins. I'm the owner of Clay Bay Designs, and I make handmade jewelry for the divine feminine. I like the idea that I can make something that brings me joy because I get to be creative, and someone else comes along and sees it, gets it for themselves or as a gift, and it brings joy to them too.
Yes. I love it. Okay.
Me too. And she does some beautiful work, y'all. Look at these here earrings.
Thank you.
Ooh, check it out.
When y'all see me out here with these moons, that's Clay Bay Designs.
Okay. I'm going to have to definitely check you out. You do bracelets too as well?
I do. I do bracelets, necklaces.
Really?
Yes. I also make resin things like little trays, and I do all kinds of things.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
And you have a website?
I do. It's www.claybaydesigns.com, and it's BAE, not BAY, as in your girl, your bae.
Your bae.
Your bae.
Okay. Well, definitely check those two ladies out, y'all. If you don't know me, my name's Deborah Williams. And if you want to check out what I do, check out debshealingcornerstone.com. There's information on what I do there. You can check out the links. Book with me if you want to. But we're going to go ahead and get started, y'all. So Let's go ahead and talk about it. I mean, before we even got this established, when we came together, we were kind of talking about the single parent type issues that actually are going on presently in the world. And, Lindsay, she has a lot of experience in that. And I'm going to go ahead and let her talk about what it looks like for her to live unapologetic.
So I don't really know where to begin with it, but I'll just say that I found myself living a life that was really for everyone else around me. I was moving through the world like tiptoeing, and I was constantly feeling like I was taking up too much space when I needed something for me. And I was like feeling the mom guilt, so much mom guilt. And so I kind of sat in observation for a little while and thought about, like, what are my needs? Why do I feel this way? Like, what's the origin of this feeling? I traced it back to a lot of trauma, and I realized that I had put myself in basically the same type of pattern that I experienced, as a child, or just moving through my life as I was growing up. And going through that, I started asking for things that seemed very basic, like just general expectations of what I wanted my life to look like and what I expected. And when those needs weren't met, or when they were downplayed, I decided to take it into my own hands. And I had to try to live unapologetically about that and say that this is my decision. So I ended up getting a divorce and becoming a single mom. And a lot of people were not okay with my decision. For me to step into that, it was really, really hard, but I'm still learning, every day. So I'm now moving through life unapologetic, teaching my kids. I have 2 boys. So my youngest is almost 5 and my oldest is almost 8. So I'm trying to be the example grown up for them, knowing that they're watching me, they're seeing how mom's doing things and what I'm saying. And it's my biggest motivation to keep living this way, keep living for me and doing the things that make me happy, that I need.
Yeah.
I love it.
I do too. And what I love about that so much, I know for me, so I'm not a mom, but I grew up with a single mom. And I recognize that we live in a different time now than what it was 38 years ago. But to have a parent that is willing to messily demonstrate what living unapologetically and for just yourself looks like, I can't imagine who I would be today had I had that modeled instead of having to try to figure that out at this age. So kudos to you. Just want to say that out loud.
Thank you. It's not an easy process. And my kids have a lot of questions. And I think for me, like, the best thing I can tell them is, like, I'm still figuring it out. I have to move through the world in a way where I can take a step back and just try to, look at the situation in a little bit of different way than I've learned in the past, and how I moved in my life before that. So I'm figuring it out, and I tell them that all the time. And I'll tell them, when I mess up, I mean, nobody's perfect. I mess up and I'm like, hey, this is why. Instead of saying, I'm sorry for this. If I need to say I'm sorry, I'll say I'm sorry. But a lot of times I'll say, this was my expectation and this is what happened. And I maybe should have thought about it from your perspective a little bit more. And kind of explain, like, what we need to do going forward to get out of a situation, like even just little basic simple things, like if it's just safety or, with my kids, they have a lot of questions. They don't understand why I, blew my life up, but it wasn't just me. It's when people are in a relationship, it's 2 people. So, yeah. And I'll just say, it's like, it was my grown up decision. It was what I needed for my life. And, then remind them we still have a family. We still have these things. So, but yeah, it can be really hard for kids to understand that, but I want to be a good example for them and the other people, the other little people who are watching us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. I love that because, if you guys don't know my background, I do also have a daughter and I'm a single parent as well. I have a teenager. She's 15. So I've actually been through a lot of different stages in life and seen a lot of different things. And I love your transparency with your child, because I feel like that right there alone is going to help the community, because we got to think, guys, the community is made up of families. So the structure of the family is very important to how we look on the outside, and the people that you're taking care of is going to be the next people for whatever it is, and so it's amazing to be able to see, even though you might, what society say, okay, you're going to have an issue because you don't have this other portion of, this child's life. You can still try your best and being transparent to even explain that to them, because children, they're seeing, they're living, and it's like their brains are not as, dynamic or whatever you want to call it, as advanced. That's what we say. But at the end of the day, I feel like when I was a child, I could comprehend a lot of things. And coming from my background, I had both of my parents. So to most people, I should have a partner, basically. That's basically how it, society says, but that's not how it's going. So we need to bring this awareness so that people can see that this is something that you can still experience and life can still go on, and you can still create a positive generation to come, for the community that's coming up.
Yeah. And that's the thing about living unapologetically. Like, you deal with the cards that you're dealt. That is life. And you make decisions to advance you in the direction that you see fit for yourself, or by necessity or whatever. And that's cool. And, at the end of the day, we're all figuring this shit out, kids and adults, and everything's got to be age appropriate, to a degree. But living unapologetic looks like creating whatever is best for your life. It's not about it looking like the traditional family or having the traditional job or, falling into the traditional roles even. We are meant to enjoy our lives, and that doesn't have to look like the cookie cutter version that we've been fed.
Absolutely. And our kids are watching us. They're watching everything that we do. They're watching how we move in the world. They're watching, or they're listening to the things that we say. And for me, I'm raising boys. It's very important to me that I'm teaching them that this is not the role of women, that women are allowed to take up space and have expectations and not want to do the things that society says that we should do because we're women. And women aren't really supported in society. We're supposed to be strong and perfect and know how to clean and magically know how to have children. You're supposed to want to have children. You're supposed to want to obey your husband. And, there's all this pressure. And maybe we don't want to do that stuff. And that's okay. Like, I love it when I hear a woman say, I don't want to have kids. I'm not going to do that. Yes. That's fine. Yeah. So we need to be able to teach our kids that, and also teaching our sons that, and our daughters too. Like, our daughters have to hear, hey girl, you don't have to want this. Baby girls are baby dolls in their arms, little mama toys. That's a toy for a girl, it's just, we got to start moving in another direction. And, that's really what I have to say about teaching the kids. But yeah, I mean, when you move through life, not apologizing for not wanting things, we normalize that life, and that's what the kids need.
Yeah. I want to bring up this too. And when it comes to the community, the school is also a really, really big part. And because they spend a lot of majority of their time, y'all, again, like I said, I have a 15-year-old, so I experienced this, for a while now. But it's like, I was talking to my daughter the other day, and we were talking about how, they always ask the parents to show up for field trips or school type of activities when it comes to sports and stuff like that. But we don't have a sector where parents can be involved in the actual lessons. And I feel like that portion of it we should work on that portion of it. I know it might take some years to perfect it or whatever you want to call it, but I feel like there's a lot of, how my daughter was telling me how she learns. She's learned similar to me. And, nature even says the parent is really supposed to be your first teacher, So, and there's other kids that are going through or experiencing the same thing in that classroom, but the teacher teaches a different way or a different form. I was explaining to my daughter, it's not the teacher's fault that they're trying to teach you in this way and you can't comprehend it, things like that. But there's other kids that'll just lash out and you'll have behavior problems or behavioral issues. I think that if parents could get involved more when it comes to the teaching style or setting up, even helping the teachers to set up other teachers with the right type of tools, it could actually help the community in the end. Because we got these kids that's going in, and y'all hear about this crime that's happening. This doesn't make any sense. Why is all this crime happening in the schools? It's because somebody's kid feels bullied, not heard. They feel like they're just stuck in a corner somewhere and they're just dying, basically. And if we're able to come up with these solutions, this could actually help a lot. We wouldn't see or hear of so many different crimes against the school system. What do you guys think about that?
I think that definitely the way that the school system is set up, it feels like inherently there's shame built into you not falling into whatever category of learning style is the curriculum.
Exactly.
And so if you do not fit into, because I think there's 4 different ways that people learn, like 4 different categories in which people take in information. And if the school is only teaching one of those 4 ways, there's however the percentage falls. Theoretically, if we're just dividing it up into 4s, 3/4 of the kids are getting left behind because they're not learning this one curriculum way.
Right.
And so there's shame built into it, maybe on accident, but that's what the result of it is, because then there's not additional tools to support those kids in additional ways outside of not learning the way that you're supposed to learn. And that's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's bullshit. I recently had the opportunity to go to my son's school. He's in the 2nd grade. Well, he just finished 2nd grade. They had career day. And at first I was like, because I have a small business. This is what I do. I'm an entrepreneur. And I was that before I started the jewelry business. I was a hairstylist. And they actually had a lot of people who were, self-employed at career day. But one of the biggest things, so like I got to go and show them all my cool jewelry stuff and like my little materials, and they loved it. But I was like, I really want you guys to understand that the way that you're weird, whatever your weirdness is a gift, and you can use this in a career, and you don't have to follow this like societal, in a kid's way. I was kind of saying, you don't have to follow this. You can do whatever you want and be weird. And part of that shame of the curriculum of the school system, it's very systemic, just teaching the kids that they got to move through life a certain way. And I think that if we can, let our kids know, like, hey, you don't have to apologize for being this particular way. In fact, it's something cool that one day you're going to have a whole thing about that people are going to want to do, and it'll inspire other people to be the same way, or not be that way, but just to be themselves.
Yes. I love it, because that's exactly essentially what it is. Because if you think about it, you go through school for whatever, 13 years. Or it's longer than that, really, because you're kind of going and doing other things. But besides that, once you get out, you're put into this world, and you're like, okay, I had all this training. If there was any training with your parent, because some parents, some are active in their teaching for their children, but some don't. They don't teach them anything. And so then it's like they have to get everything they get from school. So school is like really important, y'all. You know what I'm saying? It really affects your life even after you get out, because you're still thinking about or processing the way that it's formed, So I feel like that unapologetic thing, just like how Lindsay was saying, allowing the child to feel like they can be them without being, strange or weird. Because I guarantee you, in that, even if it's not in that classroom, there's kids that are in another classroom that could learn the same way that you learn, but we haven't put it together for them to be able to get to that point yet.
I thought, I really thought, like, when I got out of high school, even, I was 17, 18 years old. Like, I was supposed to have it figured out, know what college I was going to go to, know what I was going to do for the rest of my life. Like, what's going to make me happy? I'm still a child. I'm really still a child. Yep. And though I might have been moving through life pretending like I wasn't here and there, I really didn't know. And like, if somebody had said, you don't have to have it figured out, and you don't have to be sorry about that. And guess what? Like, the things that you enjoy to do that make you different, that maybe people don't understand, can one day be like a job or a superpower, or, something that you can teach, or something that you can create your own business. I think about how different my life could have been. We stunt the children's growth, emotional growth all the time by keeping them boxed in, live this apologetic life. You did this, say you're sorry. Like, that's the very first thing that a lot of people will say. I hear it all the time. Like when my kids do something and I'm like, instead of say say you're sorry. I'm like, you know, because my boys will like fight. And so sometimes my youngest, he's like the meanest, and he'll just haul off and like knock his brother, like, you know, knock something over or hit him. And I'm like, okay, first of all, check on him. Go tell him what happened, you know, like explain yourself. You don't have to be sorry. But I mean, sometimes it's like, yes, we need to be sorry. But, you know, I'm like, let's get into like why we did what we did,
emotions,
and what we do next time.
Default. Yeah.
Yeah. But you hear it all the time. Everybody's like, say you're sorry, and then it's done, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And we do that in school. We do that with how we teach, you know, yeah, everything's just not black and white. We can't be put in a box, and we can't put our children in boxes too.
Yeah. And the thing with that is when you were speaking about, you know, not holding space for somebody's weird, like I feel like that is the action that we can give other people when we're out in this world.
Yeah.
Allow room for people to just take up space and be whatever brand of weird they are, number one. Mm-hmm. And number two, when we do this to our children early on, I'm envisioning in my mind, I see us like being fast tracked through all these periods of life for the first 18 to 21 years of life. And then you've arrived at this place and you're like, whew, now that I'm here, what the fuck am I supposed to be doing?
Exactly.
Okay, I mean, like I've learned things, but I don't know what any of this means. Like I've not taken time to like enjoy a thing, because I was really good at school. Like I graduated in the top of my class because I had above a 3.5 in high school, but I was good at demonstrating school. I'm smart, yes, but that was not directly correlated to the grades I made. I was able to perform in a way that got me the grades that I wanted in order to go to college, because that's what you're supposed to do next. Mm-hmm. And then I did that, accounting, and for 9 years, plus also, you know, childhood shit and experiences in life. All of that weighs down on the child that is still inside of us and still needs tending to. And it piles on and piles on. And for some of us, it stills our voices. That's what happened to me.
Yes.
So, and then you go through life and you're doing all the things you're told you're supposed to do. And then you get to a point and you're like, why the fuck have I done half of this? I hate most of it here. So, yeah. And then there's the self-discovery. But if we could just hold space for people's weird, we would not have to. There's still life to be experienced. There's still lessons along the way. Don't get me wrong. But it doesn't have to be so painful and so shameful along the way. Yeah. And that would make the world just such a better place.
Yes. And I want to pull also from what Lindsay was talking about, career day. You know, if you think about that, just like kind of to piggy off of what Yams was saying, to bring them two together, it's like there's things that you might do that maybe other kids might want to do, but maybe their parents work or they have a job. So at home, they go home and their parents are telling them about their 9 to 5. But then, you know, there's somebody else's mom or dad that actually has their own thing that they're doing. And this is what I want to do, you know? So we could create, if we worked with the teachers, like, you know, how they have they're kind of like dual enrollment type classes or college classes, courses. We could do stuff like that if like a group of people would come in and talk. And, you know, there's different types of ways that we can change, because once the kids get out of school, I mean, they're on their own. They got to figure it out, but we can at least give them the tools necessary to be unapologetic and see the differences. Because if I would have seen an entrepreneur come to my school, like both of my parents, well, my dad pretty much was a primary caregiver. Like he worked. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. So like to me being an entrepreneur, neither one of my parents were that. I didn't see that example, you know? Yeah. So for me to live in life, and this is how life goes, this is what I desire. This is what I want. This is what I've been manifesting, you know? So it's just, you know, just giving them an example could give them a heads up, because not everybody that wants to do that gets that, or even does the things that I'm doing, you know? So that's how I see it. I really am enjoying this, guys. What else did you want to kind of talk about, Yams, about the living unapologetic, as in when it comes to your life? Because I know you're not a parent.
Yes. So I know my unapologetic has been with my mother-daughter relationship with my mom. Because a lot of society puts moms on pedestals, because moms are the nurturers, they're the givers, they are all of these things that moms are supposed to be. And not saying that my mom was not a lot of those things, but all moms don't encompass all of the things that societal perfect moms offer. And so, it is what it is. I firmly believe that taking ownership in a period in life and saying, okay, well, this is where the fuck I'm at now, and this is how I'm going to move forward, looks like accountability and unpacking the feelings that come up with dealing with all of that. But I had to be unapologetic to even begin that work, because long time ago I tried, and I had friends that were like, oh, well, you only get one mom and you're not supposed to feel that way. And it's like, but those are my feelings. So what am I supposed to do with it? And I didn't broach this topic or this work or this area for quite some time. And then it was during the pandemic that I had friends that came around me and were in my life and were a support system that were able to hold space for me to have whatever feelings I needed to feel, whether I said them out loud to my mom or not. And I was able to process through that shit and able to just get it all out of me, so that now I have language to set boundaries and to know what it is that I like and don't like. And it's still work, because when you do anything unapologetically, there are going to be people that are not accepting of that. And there are going to be people that you're going to have to sometimes leave behind. And there's some people that are going to need time to adjust, and eventually they come back around. It's a mixed bag. You're going to get whatever you get, but the people that are meant to be around you and that respect you and love you in the way that you deserve it will withstand the test of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I want to say that, you only get one life that we know of, but it's this life, the one that we're in right now. And if you tiptoe around and don't meet your own needs, you got to look at yourself and decide, like, is this the way I want to live my life? You can go through your life and say, like, what's working and what's not, and what am I no longer willing to compromise on? And, you go to the people that you feel safe with and you tell them, and, set your boundaries. That's a huge thing. You have to set your boundaries. You also have to be willing to accept that people won't accept that. Like what Yam said, people aren't always willing to meet you where you're growing to, and that you're going to lose people along the way. But when you start stepping into your own divine power for me, it's like the divine feminine power. And I'm a woman, so I'm going to speak about that. But it can be for men too. A lot of men also are living apologetically. But when you step into that and you start saying, like, these are my needs, this is my expectation of me, and this is my expectation of you, and what our relationship or whatever we're moving through looks like. People really start to see that you understand what your worth is, and they start to treat you differently in a good way. People don't play with you as much. And then, things fall in line. But if you're, and not always, it's always like, it's day by day. It can be day by day, but once you start understanding that your feelings matter and you can take up space and you don't have to apologize. Like, I can remember the first time somebody told me, like, I'm really emotional and I would like cry a lot about things. I'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry. And she'd be like, no, you do not have to be sorry for having a human emotion to a thing that happened to you that was really traumatic. Like, you're allowed to move through this, this thing naturally. And I was just like, oh, okay. Thank you for that. So we just need to be kinder, kinder to people and kinder to ourselves, and accept what it's okay that we want what we want,
Yes. And I know we're getting close to the end. So I kind of wanted to say my 1-2s about being unapologetic. And what I learned too, nice, guys, when you think about, and if you look up the word nice, it's like being kind of gullible or naive. And then when you think about the word kind, kind of to piggyback off of what Lindsay just said, kind is more of what we're trying to go for. That means that you're being considerate of someone else. That's the difference than being nice, which is letting someone run over you, letting yourself look like a fool, not really living in your full potential. And that's what the goal is for us all to live in our full potential. Unapologetic. You okay?
Yeah.
So I hope that you guys enjoy this. Definitely check out the description box below, because we'll have our links down there if you want to follow us, if you want to book, if you want to buy something. All right. But until next time, we'll go ahead and talk to y'all later. You have a good rest of your day.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Bye-bye.
Bye.